Hey everyone! Welcome back to LUMOPOP, your home for stories that move hearts, connect fandoms, and remind us why we fall in love with the people behind the spotlight. Today's story is one that took the internet by storm. A farewell that no one saw coming. A moment between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan that left millions of fans speechless. It wasn't a scripted scene. It wasn't part of any drama. It was real, raw, and perhaps the most emotional moment of their journey together. The night began like any other grand event. The stage shimmered with gold, cameras lined every corner, and stars filled the room with their practiced smiles. But at the center of that brilliance stood two familiar figures, Wang Yibo, calm and collected, and Xiao Zhan, warm and radiant as always. When they appeared together, the audience erupted in applause. It was as if time had turned back to 2019, to the days of the Untamed, when their chemistry first captured the world. But this time, the energy was different. There was a quietness in the air, a kind of silence that didn't come from emptiness, but from hearts holding too much. As they stood side by side, something about the atmosphere shifted. Their eyes met, only for a second, but that second carried years of shared history. For fans, that glance was enough to reopen every memory. The laughter behind the scenes, the synchronized steps, the comfortable silence they shared without words. Then came the moment. Yibo took the microphone. His voice was calm, yet there was something heavy beneath the surface. He began to thank his colleagues, the team, the production crew, and finally, he paused. The pause felt eternal. Then he said quietly, "Thank you for everything we've done together." It sounded simple, but the meaning cut deep. The audience clapped, but some could sense the tremor in his voice. And right beside him, Xiao Zhan smiled. That soft, restrained smile that only fans of YiZhan could understand. It was gratitude. It was pride. But it was also goodbye. Later that night, clips of that moment exploded across social media. Within hours, hashtags like #WangYiboFarewell, #XiaoZhanReaction, and #YiZhanMoment topped trending lists in China, Korea, and beyond. Fans analyzed every gesture. The way Yibo's eyes glistened, the way Xiao Zhan's lips trembled slightly, the subtle bow at the end that seemed like a silent promise. He wasn't just thanking a colleague, one fan wrote. He was saying farewell to someone who changed his life. News outlets picked up the story instantly. Wang Yibo's emotional goodbye leaves Xiao Zhan speechless. One headline read. Another wrote, "Was this the end of a legendary duo?" But behind the noise, there was something deeper that the world couldn't see. After the ceremony, Yibo reportedly left quietly, avoiding the cameras and skipping the after-party. He went home alone, turning off his phone for the night. Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan stayed behind a little longer, greeting fans, smiling through interviews, his voice steady but softer than usual. Those who knew them said that moment marked the end of a chapter, one built on trust, friendship, and shared dreams. Not everything that shines in the public eye can stay forever. Sometimes, the brightest connections have to fade before the world can fully understand their light. Weeks passed, but the echoes of that night refused to fade. Every time Yibo appeared on stage, fans noticed the way he paused before smiling, as if remembering someone. Every time Xiao Zhan sang, there was a wistfulness, a hint of longing hidden between the lines. In one interview, when asked about the Untamed, Xiao Zhan smiled faintly and said, "Some memories don't end. They just live quietly in your heart." That line alone made fans tear up. It was as if he was speaking not to the interviewer, but to someone who might be watching from afar. Fandoms from around the world came together again, just like they did years ago. Hashtags turned into tributes, fan edits resurfaced with millions of views, and emotional letters flooded online spaces. They taught us that real connections don't need labels. One international fan wrote, "Sometimes, just existing in the same world is enough." And perhaps that's why this moment hit so hard, because it wasn't just about two celebrities. It was about growth, change, and the painful beauty of letting go. Yibo moved forward into his solo projects, films, music, and racing. Xiao Zhan continued to shine in dramas and theater. But no matter how far they went, fans could still feel that invisible thread that once tied them together. A famous Chinese critic once said, "Some partnerships don't end when the curtain falls. They live on in the silence after applause." And that's exactly what Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan became. Not just a memory, but a symbol of connection that transcended fame and time. Even now, years later, fans still rewatch their old clips, the laughter, the glances, the inside jokes that made YiZhan a phenomenon. Each rewatch feels like visiting an old friend. Each pause, reminder that magic like that doesn't happen twice. In the end, their story isn't about heartbreak or distance. It's about how two souls met at the right moment, created something unforgettable, and left a mark so deep that time itself couldn't erase it. They didn't need to say goodbye, one fan tweeted, because their eyes already did. And maybe that's the truth. Some goodbyes don't sound like endings. They sound like gratitude, quiet and eternal. Soft piano outro begins to fade in. So tonight, as we look back at that moment, that silent, breathtaking farewell, let's remember why it mattered so much. Because in their story, we saw a reflection of our own. How connections can change us, how memories can heal us, and how sometimes love, in whatever form, simply doesn't fade. This has been LUMOPOP. And if this story moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more heartfelt stories from the world of C-drama and beyond. Until next time, keep believing in moments that make your heart feel alive.